Hey YouTube, what is going on? Carter here. Got another video for you. This is a very unique automatic knife that came in the other day. I gotta say, I put up some pictures on Instagram of this, and I have not gotten a bigger response from anybody or from any of the stuff I posted on there than from this knife right here. It really turned a lot of heads, captured a lot of people's imagination, I guess I could say. I don't know. It's definitely pretty cool, but we're going to break this down and see how cool is this knife really. This is officially it's the Rat Worx MRX knife. Now, Rat Worx is known for their firearm stuff. In fact, as far as I can tell in my research, this is the first knife that they have ever been involved in, which is very interesting. It is manufactured by Guardian Tactical, and you will see some trademark Guardian Tactical stuff like this pivot right here, which is exactly what they do on their other folders, as well as just kind of this microtech-y but not quite microtech look that Guardian Tactical does, and that's because they are former Microtech employees who kind of went off on their own to follow their dreams and start their own knife business. So they teamed up with Rat Worx to produce their first automatic knife. And that's what you have here. I'm not going to speculate on what that relationship is or why that is. Well, actually, I will speculate. That's exactly what I'm going to do. So my speculation is that, and this is not founded on any sort of information, just some gossip, just some gossip on my part that I'm making up right now, that I would guess it has something to do with legal issues with Guardian Tactical, maybe marketing, making, shipping, distributing automatic knives, possibly. And so they needed maybe a company, like a firearms company, that already had the legal portion down pat, and that Guardian Tactical would simply manufacture but not distribute or sell said automatic knives. That would be my guess, and that's a total guess, but that's just based off the whole, this being the first knife Rat Worx has ever done, and it happens to be I don't want to say revolutionary, but a new concept in automatic deployment, along with a pretty radical design. Usually companies like to tiptoe into stuff like that, produce something that they know will be consumable for mass market. Anyways, I've talked way too long. This has 154 cm steel, very thick right there. Almost as thick as a Strider, just a little bit thinner than a Strider. It has obviously a black coated bevels right here. It's hollow ground. This is the Tonto model. You can see the Tonto tip right there, but it does not have the Americanized straight cut right here. It actually has a little bit of a belly right there, which I like. The machining on the blade is 100% CNC machined. I believe it's CNC machined. So it's not ground like a traditional knife would be ground. And you can actually see, if I hold it at an angle, you see those little steps right there from the machining. And what you probably can't see is that the small machining marks actually run horizontal instead of vertical like you would see on a traditional ground knife. I'm assuming that that's the reason why all of their knives have some sort of finish on the bevels. They offer it fully black coated, dual coated in black and satin like this, or they have a blasted version where the bevels are blasted. But nowhere in any of their knives do they offer a full satin version. I'm guessing that's the reason why. I could be wrong. A few decorative marks right here. 6000 series aluminum handle, very, very thick, and that is to hold the dual springs. We'll talk about that in a minute. Very good pocket clip, goes in very well. I carried this today. It sticks out a little bit, but I actually like that. That's my preference. I don't like super deep carry knives. That's just me though. I know most people really like it. No safety, but it does have a flat button that will not deploy on accident, and a nice cutout right here. So when you actually go to deploy this knife, you kind of want to come in at an angle so you can get the meat of your thumb kind of on the edge here, and it opens nice and easy. You can see the speed of opening. It opens pretty quick, smooth. Gives you a nice little thwack. It does not open as hard as, say, like a ProTech. Part of that is due to the larger blade and not having a super strong spring. I actually like it. It feels better than a lot of automatics that kind of jam out of your hand and, you know, feels like it's bashing into itself every time it opens. Black along the spine there. Perfectly centered. Overall, the build quality on this knife is superb. I did not grab the box, but it comes in a nice white cardboard box. On the top is the Rat Worx logo. When you open it is the Guardian Tactical, and then it comes in a nice padded pouch, a Rat Worx padded pouch. So very great display. Now, the opening mechanism and kind of what makes this thing unique is it's not coil spring operated like a traditional modern auto would be. Normally you'd have a spring that's wound in here, a circular spring that actually goes into the blade, and that's what provides your spring action for opening up the blade. This has two, I'm not sure what the springs are called, but they're kind of your classic springs, your long springs. You know, they have a hook on one end, they're straight, they're not a coil spring, they're kind of, you know, what you would typically think of when you think of a spring. It's got two of them, and they attach to this chain right here on this side, and pretty simple operation actually. They are pulling tension on this chain when you close it, and the chain goes around the gears on the blade, pulls up tension on the spring, and that's what loads it and allows you to fire the knife. And you can see the gears right there. So that's machined into the tang. This has an internal stop pin, so it has a channel milled out of the tang right here. That's what the stop pin goes into for the closed and open position. It also has a bearing system. It has a unique feel to it. You can sometimes hear the spring inside kind of tense up. It sounds pretty cool, and it has like a kind of a different type feel to it than most automatics. Now the big question is does this new mechanism offer you anything? And I am still unsure on that. The basic claim of this particular mechanism, which I believe, is that it's going to last a lot longer than a coil spring. And the company actually demonstrated this by hooking one of these knives up to a machine that simulated, I think, 400,000 openings. It would basically, they clamped it, and a piece would come by on a belt, and it would hit the blade, almost close it all the way, spring it open. Close it all the way, spring it open, like over and over and over again, 400,000 times, and the knife was still functioning. It did start to get some play and things like that, but it was still functioning. And it makes sense. You know, one of the drawbacks to coil springs is they do break. They eventually break. I mean, they do. Sometimes it's a year after use, sometimes they'll go 5 years, but they always break. They're not a super robust system. It's not a super robust spring. Something like this, your chances of breaking a spring like this are about 0. It'll eventually start to lose some of its springiness power, but as far as it actually breaking, probably not going to happen. Now that being said, is a broken coil spring that big of a deal? Usually not. They're inexpensive and fairly easy to change. So I don't really see that as being a huge bane on automatic knife owners' lives, having these coil springs in there. But we'll see. The other big question is this going to get covered in gunk and stop functioning? And I plan on testing that as best I can by kind of carrying it and seeing if just regular carrying causes an issue. And then I also plan on doing some testing with some mud and things like that, compare it to a coil-fired auto, see if it develops any problems before that. As far as robustness goes in other forms, this company's YouTube channel, they have tons of brutal hard use testing on their knives, and they hold up insanely well. I'd recommend checking them out. My video is about to die on me, so I am going to leave you guys, but check out Rat Worx. They're very cool.